What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Flex Night Shift podcast for everyone clocking those late night DFS hours. We're going to break down the Saturday night and Sunday night football DFS slates. I'm your host, Chris Raybon of the Action Network. And just a bookkeeping note, we'll have a bonus Christmas episode where we break down all three of the Monday, I should say, football games, including the Monday night. So stay tuned for that. So this one will be the Saturday slate and then Sunday night football. Here to break it down with me, one of the top rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what's going on?
What's up? I'm doing good. Busy time though. Love all these like side slates. Only 2 more weeks of the fantasy regular season, so love it. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How did you? I know you just had some lunch. What did you have?
Just some like salad wraps and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Nothing crazy. Just something. Just something.
Yeah. We got a lot going on here. We're like in the middle of like a four podcast marathon for the listeners wondering. I got like a DoorDash order coming that I'm gonna have to stop down for in a second. Like all types of things are going. I heard your dog's going crazy out there.
Dogs are going nuts. Yeah, dogs are going nuts. Everyone's going nuts over here.
A lot going on. So for everyone that doesn't know, Saturday we're gonna have 2 games: Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, and then Buffalo at the Chargers, and then there'll be the Sunday night game as normal. That's Patriots Broncos, and then there'll be 3 Monday games that again we'll do on a special Christmas episode of the Fantasy Flex, a bonus episode, and that will be Monday. It will be Vegas at the Chiefs, the Giants at the Eagles. And the Monday night game will be Baltimore at San Francisco. So again, that will be on a special bonus episode that will be out. Should drop shortly after this one if you're listening to this one. But let's get right into it. One more thing. Don't forget Action Network Discord server. If you're interested, be sure to check the link in the episode description. I know Kerner has been very active in there. Sweating bets and giving him fantasy advice and all that good stuff. So check that out. But let's jump right into the Saturday slate. So we'll discuss this one as the 2-game slate, since that looks like what's going to be featured on DraftKings as of now. We see pricing for the 2-game slate. We don't see pricing for the showdown slate at the time of recording. So we'll talk about it as a 2-game slate. Again, Bengals at the Steelers in what's projected to be a low-scoring game. The Bengals are favored by 2 on the road. The total is down to 37 in that one. And then we have the Bills at the Chargers. Bills favored by 10.5 on the road with a total of 44 in that one. Luck rankings-wise, Steelers and Bengals, I noticed, are the 2 luckiest teams in the NFL now. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's kind of a wash, right? I mean, the Steelers were the luckiest team for seems like the entire season, but the Bengals somehow have passed them up. That one though is definitely a luck total over though. It's +5, which you wouldn't. That's not a situation you typically want to be taking it over, but I don't know. And Jamar Chase might be out, but maybe the total drops a bit too low. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're at this point, especially late in the year, where we've seen just so many low total games, and it's tough. Some of them you get lucky. Like I think I had the under in Carolina and Atlanta that didn't even come close, even though it was like a 33 or something like that. But we have seen some of these low total games go over as well. The Steeler-Patriot game a couple weeks ago comes to mind. So I do think there is, there's always an avenue for points, especially when you're talking about 2 quarterbacks, Mason Rudolph, Jake Browning, inexperienced, can turn the ball over. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, talking about inexperienced quarterbacks, how about Aiden O'Connell and Easton Stick combining for 84 points when the total was like 31 or whatever? So with no Keenan Allen, it's the NFL, so anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because those totals are just median projections, right? And so you still have the same kind of ceiling and floor, but we are probably what the luck totals are saying is that these teams have kind of gotten lucky to score as low as they have. So you might see some more scoring in this one. And then in the Bills Chargers game, Bills have actually been one of the unluckier teams. They're bottom 4, so they're 29th in luck, which means fourth fourth unluckiest, and the Chargers are 11th. So kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum there. But the Bills already favored by 10.5 on the road. So I mean, could see, I guess, another run heavy game from them. Yeah. But we'll get to that. Let's go position by position here, since we're talking the 2-game slate. Who sticks out for you at QB?
Well, this is a pretty rough quarterback slate. I mean, the top 2 options are clearly Josh Allen and Jake Browning, but you already alluded to it. The Bills were run heavy last week. They beat the Cowboys with only Josh Allen completing 7 passes. Now they're facing arguably the worst team in the league in the Chargers. So hard to spend up on Josh Allen. Jake Browning might be without Jamar Chase. I'm going to say Mason Rudolph here because whatever his rostership will be here, it might be too low. Granted, he is not a good quarterback, but he does have talented pass catchers. I mean, he has Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, and he's dirt cheap, so you can spend up at every other position if you go that route. So I think a Rudolph stack with some of those pass catchers makes sense on a 2-game slate, and it would be nice leverage against Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, who will probably be popular, at least Jalen Warren. So if Rudolph throws for a couple touchdowns here to those guys and you stack them, you're going to have a huge edge over the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think, we talked about it last week with Nick Mullins. It was just like, just look at the cheapest quarterback, and as long as there's some type of avenue to where they can put up points, it's going to be valuable on a slate like this. So, yeah, I like Rudolph. I think he'll be the lowest owned quarterback for sure. Second lowest will probably be Easton Stick, against Buffalo. But we've all we need is fantasy points. It doesn't matter how they come about. And we have seen Stick in a trailing game script, which, double-digit underdogs could happen again here. 23 of 32 for 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 11 yards on the ground in that game against Vegas. Now, Buffalo might not give him that many opportunities because if Buffalo goes run heavy, that will bleed the clock. But, the opportunity, to be thrown to, maybe we'll get Keenan Allen back here, but you still got some decent weapons for Stick. He got a little bit of rushing ability. So just another one of these backup quarterbacks that has an avenue to points. And this is the higher total of the 2 games. It's not a division game. So, if there's one game that, we talked about Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, since he could go, over, that's what we're kind of looking at with the luck rankings. But this is still the higher total game on, so more often than not, we're expecting this Bills game to be higher scoring. So going with Easton Stick here, it's pretty ugly, but second cheapest and probably second lowest owned as well.
Yeah, I mean, he has way more rushing upside than we've seen so far. No rushes in week 14 when he took over. Only 2 times for 11 yards last time. I mean, he has over 30 yards type of upside in him. So I do like that call. I think there is a path for him to hit here.
What about running back?
Running back, like I said, Jalen Warren probably sticks out as the clear top option. Going to be highly owned, I would imagine. So I think some of the cheaper options are the 2 backup running backs in the same game. So Ty Johnson at 4,300 and Isaiah Spiller at 4,400. I mean, Ty Johnson has been mixing in quite a bit lately. So if it's going to be another run-heavy game where they blow them out, he could see handful of touches here, maybe a cheap touchdown, who knows. But Isaiah Spiller specifically makes a ton of sense because they've been just really easing off Austin Eckler. I mean, they were alluding to that even before Justin Herbert's injury. So after that, after the Brandon Staley getting fired, we could see some mix up here. So they're probably looking for next season and beyond. So we could see Spiller continue to get more work, especially in a blowout. So I think both these guys are cheap options that might be overlooked here. I don't know. And then allows you to spend up elsewhere.
Yeah. And even though Staley's gone, it's not like Kellen Moore's still there. So the offense, you don't expect everything to kind of change offensively because, Staley was more of a defensive guy. I like Chase Brown here as well. Another cheap option. And people might look at his box score and kind of think, still kind of being that change of pace to Joe Mixon. But through the first 3 quarters of the game last Saturday, Brown had 6 carries, 3 targets. Mixon only 4 carries and 1 target. So 9-5 edge and opportunities for Brown. But he did leave the game for an injury. And I think that's what kind of allowed Mixon to really get his volume up as that game went down the stretch. So you could see a changing of the guard in his spot with Chase Brown leading the backfield, kind of similar to the way, we've been expecting from Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. There's going to be a game, I think, where Brown gets like the clear edge in touches, and that could be this game. So looking for Chase Brown, who's still under 5K on DraftKings. I think he's a nice value with some upside. 6.6 yards per touch for Brown, 4.5 for Mixon this year. And Brown has seen a target or a carry on 70% of his snaps played this year. So it's clear that they want to get him the ball when he's in there. Don't expect him to do much pass blocking right there like that. So great DFS option. Wide receiver.
So, I mean, I'm looking to attack this Bengals wide receiver room with Jamar Chase potentially out. So I'm going with Andre Yosevach at 3K. And it's unclear how, they're going to handle Chase potentially missing this week. Trent Irwin replaced T. Higgins when he was out a few games. And then he did initially fill in for Chase when he left the game, but it was Yosevach who ended up seeing the most playing time at the end of the game, 24% routes run rate. So there's a decent chance, he ends up getting first crack here. And I think he's talented enough to give, Browning a solid option here. I mean, he looked really, really good in preseason. It was kind of like Isaiah Likely last year, where it was getting to a point where it's like, okay, shut this guy down. He could be like a very valuable depth piece, even as a rookie, in case one of, the top 3 receivers go down. So I was really impressed with his preseason, film and everything. He hasn't really done much, but this could be his chance to shine. So a slate like this, where he's 3K, this is the perfect time to invest in him. As well as Browning's been playing, it's another good reason why we want to invest in the Bengals offense, even though Jamar Chase might be out. So I think Yosevach might step up here. He's a big-bodied receiver, so he could be a good red zone target, across from T. Higgins. So I like him as a flyer here.
Yeah, and he played more snaps when Chase went down than Charlie Jones or Trent Irwin. So and Boyd is playing less snaps too, so I guess he'll probably bump back up a little bit. He's been with all the tight ends being used, Boyd is they haven't used as much 1-1 personnel. So Yosevach is more of an outside receiver, so he would be kind of the backup for Chase if he was able to continue leading them in snaps. So I like him as well. In terms of the best dollar for dollar value, I think it's Deontay Johnson. He's just 5,100 on DraftKings. He leads the Steelers with 8 red zone targets. So he's starting to score touchdowns after they were just not a part of his game for the entirety of last season. But 8 red zone targets, leads the team despite missing 4.5 games. And he has 79 plus yards and or a touchdown in 6 of 9 games since returning from injury. That Cincinnati Bengals D is 20th in DVOA against the pass. So, George Pickens, I'm waiting for him to kind of have a breakout as well. But I think, Johnson at this price is too good to pass up. Good cash game play, but might be necessary for tournaments as well, depending on if he can score again.
Yep. And he has the best chemistry with Mason Rudolph. They've been playing together, for years now.
Yep. That's a good point. Tight end, who you got?
Gerald Everett at 3,500. He's actually been on a mini tear. I got torched at the beginning of that when I had the under on his receiving yards. I backed off that. But it's been 4 straight games now of 4 more receptions. He's also been Eason Stick's top target with 12 targets on Stick's 56 pass attempts this year. Granted, a lot of those were last week without Keenan Allen. So if Keenan Allen's playing, he's going to be the top target. But Everett might be the number 2 option here. So it's been a minimal drop-off going from Justin Herbert to Eason Stick, at least for Gerald Everett. He also benefited from Donald Parham being out last week. Not sure what the hell's up with Parham, if he's going to suit up this week. But if he's out again, that's just going to make Everett a better play. But I think he's one of the guys that, with Stick under center, we haven't seen much of a drop-off. So I like going with him here.
Yeah, and the Chargers, remember, they used to use like this 3 or 4-way committee. They used to mix in Trey McKitty when they had him and then Stone Smart. But it seems like they've really kind of soured on all these guys.
Yeah.
They were calling up Steven Anderson just to take some snaps and block. And, Smart's snaps have been pretty reduced. And, after that gaffe last week, wouldn't be surprised if he's a scratch. So, Everett, one way or another, he's kind of been the guy. His route participation is kind of going back into that normal tight end range, 60-70%, whereas most of his tenure with the Chargers, it was in the 50s and 40s. So Yeah, I like Everett as well. I'll go with Tanner Hudson. I know you like him. You're high on him as well this week. 4+ catches and/or a touchdown in 7 straight games since being signed to the Bengals active roster. And Pittsburgh hasn't been good against tight ends for what it's worth. They are second in DVOA, but they're missing safeties, Demonte KZ with the suspension, and then Minkah Fitzpatrick doesn't look like he's going this week either. Got injured a few plays after KZ got ejected last week. So I don't think that on paper matchup is necessarily as tough as it looks. And Hudson, just when he's on the field, I mean, he's being targeted. I think you said Browning's been targeting him over 30% of his routes, and for the year, Hudson's been targeted on over 25% of his routes, which is a ton for any player, much less a tight end. So he's in there to catch footballs. He'll probably catch 4 or more. And if he gets a touchdown, he'll really set it off. So like him at 3,600.
And they've given up a touchdown to tight ends like each of the last 4 games or something.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I didn't even realize.
Quan Alexander, ever since he went down, I think that's when their tight end defense has taken a slip. So, yeah, looking at their season-long data, looks like a tough matchup, but recently that's not the case.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, not only are they thin at safety, but they've been just got shredded at linebacker too. Yep. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, McBride got one in week 13. Henry got 2 in week 14. And then Mo Alley Cox got one.
Gotta love Mo Alley Cox.
Yep. It's just the red zone guy. Never goes away. Just like, go away, bro. I want to see at least like Mallory or Granson, like somebody break out.
I don't want to see any of those guys. I want Jelani Woods to return.
Yeah, well, if Jelani Woods was here, Mo Alley Cox would still be vulturing touchdowns.
That's true. That's true.
But yeah, you're right. The Colts have like 4 more intriguing tight ends, and just he just keeps doing his thing. But